How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's stick mobility class. I am Coach Ray. Thank you for joining me for today. So for today's class, we're going to use a big band. So if you have a big band at home, this is actually going to be a really good workout for you. And so how we're going to use this band is we're going to use it as a way to add tension to a deadlift, specifically something more along the lines of a sumo style deadlift. So we'll actually go through the setup of that. We'll also be using it for another drill, which is going to be like a hip flexion knee extension drill. However, it's going to be very, very challenging here, okay? So we're going to very carefully work through each of those drills and make sure we get the maximum amount of efficiency out of them as we can, okay? So I'm going to take both sticks. I got 2 long sticks, by the way, all right? I'm going to take both sticks. I'm going to go with a wider than shoulder width stance. We need to warm up those feet for those deadlifts. I'm going to have both my feet facing forward. I want the sticks to be in line with my big toe here. And I'm going to have my hands at roughly about chest height. Now from here, I'm going to sink down and I want to make sure my knees are over my toes here, okay? I want to make sure my pelvis is stacked under my spine. Now what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to bring up both heels, make sure all 5 toes are in contact with the floor. Good. Then I'm going to slowly bring my heels back down. I'm not going to let them touch the floor. I'm going to hover them and bring them back up. Good. Down. Good. Up. Hold that top position real nicely. Back down. Good. Let's go a couple more. Up. Make sure you're breathing here. Down. One more. Up. Good. And down. Excellent. Ease off. Okay, now we're going to go with some lateral shifting here. So I'm going to start off on that left foot. Sticks are in the same position. I'm going to drop my hips down, get into that horse stance, right? Now from here, I'm going to bring my left heel up, all 5 toes in contact with the floor for now. I'm going to shift my heel towards my center line. So I'm going to end up being on my big toe here. Good. Come back to center. Then I'm going to go shift it away. So I'm on my pinky toe, back to center. Shift inwards. Good. Shift out. Excellent. Shift in. Shift out. Shift in. And shift out. Back to center and down. Good. Now we're going to move on to the right foot. So we're going to bring that right foot up. Good. Shift that heel in towards the center line. Back to center. Shift out. Good. Back to center. Shift in. Shift out. Good. Shift in. Shift out. One more time. Shift in. And shift out. Back to center. Down. And ease off. Now we're going to focus on pelvic tilt. So, because it's going to be a little bit more specific to the sumo deadlift, we're going to go with a really wide stance here. So I'm going to widen out my stance pretty wide. So this is where things are going to get a little bit more challenging. I want to have my toes angled out the same way I would for that sumo deadlift. Both sticks are at the width of my shoulders, roughly. Okay. Bottom of the sticks are still angled in towards me. Now I'm going to drive the sticks down, and I want to bend my knees a bit, right? Make sure I'm staying up nice and tall, and then I'm going to do a posterior tilt, squeezing my glutes, driving my knees out away from one another. Good, then anterior tilt, still driving those sticks down. Not much, only about 20-30% tension. Posterior tilt, squeeze those glutes. Anterior tilt. Good. Posterior tilt. Squeeze the glutes. Anterior tilt. Good. Posterior tilt. Squeeze. Anterior tilt. Good. Posterior tilt. Squeeze those glutes. Anterior tilt. Excellent. Back to center. And relax. Okay? Now what we're going to do here is we're going to still be in the same position with the sticks and the feet, but now we're actually going to squat down. This is just to kind of focus and open up the hips. So I really want you to focus on bringing the knees out, okay? So we're abducting as we're squatting down here. I'm gonna move my hands a little lower to roughly about sternum height, okay, about the same height as my solar plexus. And so from here, not really particularly driving the stick down, but I do wanna make sure I'm kind of screwing my feet into the floor. And now I'm going to squat down, hold this position here. This feels like a good stretch on the hips, and good. Then I'm going to come back up. Excellent. We're going to do a few more of those. Okay, keep corkscrewing those feet into the floor. Want to make sure the knees are tracking over the toes. Open those hips up. Okay, we're using the sticks as a way to remain upright. Come back up. Probably going to get a real big stretch in the hips here. You should feel them opening up a little bit. Open those hips up. Sink down. Good. Back up. Excellent. Let's go 2 more here. Bring those knees out. Open those hips. Back up. Excellent. Let's go one more time. Knees out. Good. Back up. Good. And knees off. Wiggle those feet in. Perfect. Right. I'm going to place one stick down. What I'm going to do from here, I'm going to focus on generating tension into a stretch. And so I'm going to go with the split stance. Now you can play with your foot position for this one. If you want to go wider, you can, but I'm actually going to start off with a closer stance and then progressively move my back foot back further to further increase the demand on that hip extension, further stretching out that hip flexor. So from here, left leg is forward, all right? And what I want to do is I want to load that front leg by keeping my knee over my ankle here, all right? Now the stick is going to be angled in towards the toes of my left foot, but I want it in line with my center line here. I'm gripping the stick roughly about chest or sternum height. My back foot, I'm going to have on the ball and toes of my foot, and we're going to bend that back knee down. So notice we're going to get a little bit of a lunge here. So from here, I'm going to drive the stick down about 30% tension, okay? Now without doing this, I want to keep a neutral low back. I'm going to drive my right heel back. You should, or back towards the floor. You should feel that right glute turn on. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Good. I'm going to move my right foot back a little bit more. Again, we're going to increase that demand. And so from here, load that front leg, back knee is bent. Drive the stick down about 30% tension. Now from here, try not to change the level of your hips. Drive that right heel down towards the floor. Feel that right glute working. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Stand up. Wiggle that right foot back a little bit more. Okay. Same thing. Load that front leg, back knee down. Okay. Drive the stick into the floor 30%. Drive that back heel down towards the floor. Squeeze a glute. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. So I'll go from the front here so we can get a different view. I'm going to switch my hands, how my hands were stacked. So my right foot is forward. Sorry, start off with a little bit of a closer stance. Okay, same thing. Going to have that foot work back a little bit more. So from here, load that front leg, back knee is bent, ball and toes of the foot. Drive that stick down. Extend that left heel back towards the floor. Good. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Stand up. Bring that left foot back even further. Create more distance. Okay. Same thing. Load that front leg. All right. Drop that back knee, that left knee down. Make sure you're staying upright. Okay. Drive stick to the ground 30%. Extend that left heel back. Feel that glute turn on. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Stand up. Bring that left foot back a little further. Okay. Load that front leg. Good. Drive that stick down 30%. Extend that back heel. Drive that heel back. And 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Good. Now we're going to stand up here. Okay? Perfect. Now we're going to do, stretch out the chest and the shoulders here. So I'm going to have a little wider than a shoulder width stance. Toes are going to be pointed forward. Now, the bottoms of the sticks are going to be on the inside of my feet. Sorry, my hands are a little sweaty. So, inside of my feet here, okay? Hands are going to be roughly about face height. Okay, we can adjust this as we go along. I'm going to have both arms straight. Okay, I'm going to hinge back, and what I want to do is I want to keep my hands or my arms effectively where they're at, in a sense of I don't want my hands or arms to move up or back here. So coming straight out, I'm going to drive my hips back, and I'm going to get a hang. So now we're going to stretch out this chest, get some of that anterior delt, stretch out that line a little bit, open those tissues up. Good, I'm going to slowly come up. Excellent. Let's go on 2 more. If you'd like, you can have your hands a little lower. If you're getting a good stretch where you're at, keep your hands where you're at. So, drive those hips back. Let's come out to the side. Make sure you breathe here. Back up. Excellent. Let's go 1 more. Okay, doing good. Hinge back. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Come back up. Excellent. I'm going to place 1 stick down. Okay. Going to loosen up the spine a little bit. So I'm going to take the stick, place it behind my upper back. Okay. First thing we're going to do is we're actually going to start with rotation first. It's going to be the first movement. After rotation, it's going to be lateral flexion. All right. And then we'll start to segment the hips and the feet into it as well. All right. So sticks across my upper back, like so. All right. Hands are out. I'm going to have about a shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider. I'm going to drop my hips a little bit, squeeze my glutes to lock my low back and pelvis. Now from here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to rotate the right end of the stick forward, but I don't want my hips to rotate. So I'm going to drive my left hip forward as I rotate, okay? So I'm going to rotate to my left, drive my left hip forward. Good. I'm going to come back to center, rotate to the right, drive my right hip forward. Breathe. Good. Back to center, rotate to the left. Back to center, rotate to the right. Back to center, each way one more time. Rotate to the left. Back to center, rotate to the right. Good, back to center. Okay, now we're gonna do lateral flexion. So, hands are gonna be on top. Notice I moved the stick up a little bit higher, okay? Now we're gonna do from here, sorry, I'm gonna move back a smidge, okay? So, feet are roughly about hip width apart, okay? Toes are forward. So now what you would still wanna do is you wanna make sure you're squeezing those glutes to make sure you're not moving the hips too much, okay? So we're gonna start by doing a lateral tilt to our left. So from here, I'm gonna drive the left end of the stick down towards the floor and act like I'm reaching my right hand up towards the ceiling. Back to center. Now I go the opposite way. Good. Back to center. Go to the left. Back to center. Opposite way again. Back to center. One more time. Back to center. Last one. Good. Back to center. I'm going to move the stick down a little bit because now we're going to go back to rotation. Want to make sure it's leveraged against my upper back. Now we're going to go with the wider stance. Okay. This is where we start to segment the hips and the feet into it. So I'm going to keep my hands out like so. All right. Now from this position, I'm not going to actually lock my glutes because I do want to rotate my hips into it. So from here, I'm going to rotate to my left, driving that right hand forward, and I'm going to turn my hips. Now getting internal rotation on that left hip here. I'm going to come back to center, rotate to my right, driving my left hand forward. Rotate those hips. You now get an internal rotation on my right. Come back to center, rotate to the left. Good. Back to center, rotate to the right. Excellent. I'm going to rotate to my left now, but now I'm going to pivot my right foot. Rotate to the left, pivot that right. Bring it back to center, plant that right, rotate to the right, now pivot the left. Good. Back to center, rotate to the left, pivot the right. Excellent. Back to center, rotate to the right, pivot to the left. Excellent. Back to center and ease off. Good. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. Now we're going to get into the deadlift variation. So again, this is a sumo deadlift variation. So you do want to make sure that you're going with a stance as wide as whatever's comfortable for you. For a typical sumo, everybody's mobility is going to be a little different, so it's going to vary here. However, the setup and the mechanics are still the same. So I'm going to take my big band, all right? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to place, so notice I'm holding it in the middle, so I have two loops here on each end, okay? I'm going to place both feet within the loop. Now, I want the band to be right where the arch of my foot is, okay? So I want it to challenge that arch. Now, I'm going to bring my stance out pretty wide here, okay? The stick is going to go under the band here, and I want to make sure I get it in line with the center of the stick here. Now this ensures that it's not pulling from more than one side or the other. Now, my stance is going to be pretty wide. I do want my feet to be angled out. Now what's going to be important here is that we grip the ground with our feet, okay? So make sure you keep your foot active, grip the ground with your toes like you're trying to create an arch, okay? So you're going to get immediate tension from the band having the stick at your mid-shins. And again, you can adjust your feet as you need to. I'm going to have my hands straight down from my shoulders here, arms straight. Now what I want to do from here, grab the ground, and I want to open my hips and bring my chest up and out, okay? And now what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to drive my feet into the floor and squeeze my glutes and drive my hips forward to this top position. I'm going to hold for 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down. Nice and slow. Keep it controlled. Once you get to mid-shin, okay, ease off a little. Readjust your positioning. So bring those shoulders down, knees out, chest up. Drive those feet into the floor. Stand up. Squeeze those glutes forward. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down nice and slow. Keep those knees out. Good. Ease off. Take a second. Readjust. Bring those shoulders down to the hips. Knees open. Chest up. Drive those feet into the floor. Squeeze those glutes. Hips forward. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hinge back a little. Make sure you keep those knees out. Excellent. Let's go 2 more, okay? Set in position, arms straight, shoulders down, drive those feet into the floor. Squeeze those glutes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, back down, nice and slow. Good, one more time. Right, get set, knees out, chest up, drive. Squeeze those glutes. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down nice and slow. Keep it controlled. Knees out and ease off. Wiggle those feet in. Good. Take my feet out of the bands. That is one good way to either prime or work a sumo, especially if that's something you're kind of new to. It's a way to kind of teach you how to get in good position, keep the bar or stick in this case, close to your body at all times, and make sure that your positioning is always correct, all right? So, this makes it a little tricky. So I'm gonna have one loop on one end of the stick here, okay? And so what I wanna do, I wanna get the stick behind my mid-back, all right? So, with this stick here, place it across my shoulder. I'm gonna get this stick behind. Make sure I grab the band. Sorry. Setup's a little tricky for this one. Then place it over the stick. Okay. Now, the hard part about this one is you're really gonna have to drive down the sticks really, really hard, okay? Otherwise, they can be all over the place. So you're actually gonna get slippage at the bottom here, right? So, like we usually do for our setup, is we're going to make sure that the bottoms of the sticks are angled in towards us. So, obviously from here, I'm starting with the sticks in line with the toes of my both feet. Both feet are together here. and I want to have the bands basically right below my shoulders, or right about where my shoulders are at. Now from here, what I want to do is I'm going to drive the sticks down into the floor from this position. Okay, make sure you stay up tall. Drive both sticks down. Okay, as much as you need to. Let's go with 70% tension. Then I'm going to drive those sticks out. You're going to get a lot of core activation here. Shoulders down. 3, 2, 1. Bring them back in and ease off. We're now going to make this a lot harder, okay? So notice that where the band is, right? It's right about where my mid back is. So I'm challenging my core a lot here because I have to keep my rib cage down instead of letting it flare out. So drive both sticks down, 70%. Drive those hands out, shoulders down. I'm going to bring my right knee up. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Back down. And ease off. Good. We're going to switch over to the left leg. All right. Drive both sticks down. Extend the hands out. Bring up that left hip. 3, 2, 1. Good. Back down. Ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to add in that leg extension. So want to make sure we stay as balanced as we can here. Again, you're going to challenge your core a lot. So if you need to, you can start with your knee a little lower and then focus on extending the knee from there. All right? So I want to drop both sticks down 70%. Extend those hands out. Shoulders down. Bring the right knee up. Extend. 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in. And down. Ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to switch sides. So in some ways it might seem easier. In some ways this actually might seem a little harder. So drive both sticks down. Extend both hands out. Shoulders down. Bring that left hip up. Extend. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in. Down. Ease off. Let's go one more each side. Okay. Okay. Drop both sticks down. Extend your hands out. Right knee up. Extend. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down. Ease off. One more time. You're probably going to notice your triceps are getting a little tired here too. Last one. Drop both sticks down. Extend those hands out. Left knee up. Extend. 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in. Down. And ease off. Good. Okay. Gonna drop the bands down. Whew. A little tough one. Take a breather for a second here. Breathe. Now we're going to get into the stretching here. So I'm going to take the pad. We're going to stretch out those hip flexors. The first thing we're going to get into. So I'm going to go with my left leg down first. Okay. The quads feeling a little tight, hip flexors feeling a little tight. I'm about to loosen them things up. So top of my foot is on the floor on my back leg. Okay, so my right leg is forward. I want to have both sticks in line with the toes of my right foot here. Okay. Now from here, I want to drive that back foot into the floor, squeeze that left glute and tuck the pelvis. Drive both sticks down about 20%. Just to lock the ribs to the hips. Okay. Good. Ease off. Make sure you focus on your breathing here, okay? So, same thing. Now we're going to shift those hips forward a bit. So, drive that back foot into the floor, squeeze the left glute, tuck the pelvis, drive both sticks into the floor lightly, about 15 to 20% tension, and shift those hips forward. Really try to open them up here. Three, two, one. Back up. Ease off. If you'd like, you're going to wiggle that right foot forward a little bit more. Okay, try to sink a little bit deeper into it. Drive that back foot down, squeeze that left glute, tuck the pelvis, activate the sticks, shift those hips forward. Good, you should be able to access a deeper stretch here. Three, two, one. Good. Ease off. Let's go on and switch sides. Okay. Top of my right foot into the floor here, so I'm extending that ankle. Okay. I'm going to drive that back foot into the floor, squeeze the right glute, tuck the pelvis, drive the sticks into the floor, hold that position. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to shift those hips forward. Okay, so activate that foot into the ground, squeeze the glute, tuck the pelvis, drive sticks into the floor, and shift those hips forward. 3, 2, 1. Good. Ease off. Wiggle that foot forward if you'd like. Okay. Back foot, squeeze that right glute, tuck the pelvis, drive sticks to the floor, shift your hips forward. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. Okay, we're going to stretch out those adductors a little bit here. Now I'm going to have my right foot out, okay? And I want my right leg out straight. I really want to make sure I'm pushing off this right leg here because I want to activate that stretch in the adductors as much as I possibly can here. Probably going to get a little bit of hamstrings too if you're a little sore or a little tight. So, bottoms of the sticks are angled out in front of me, pretty far. Now from here, what I want to do, I'm going to actually dorsiflex my back ankle a little bit, or at least to keep my big toe into the floor, just to make sure I got a good stable position. Now I want to actually lock my right leg, okay, extend that knee. From here, what we're going to do, I'm going to drive my hips back, reach down towards the bottoms of the stick. Should feel a stretch on that right adductor. I'm going to bring my hips forward. I'm going to rock back into it. Breathe. Bring those hips forward. Rock back into it. Three, two, one. We're going to place my hands right about where my shoulders are. Use the sticks to assist myself up. And then I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to wiggle that right foot in. Okay. Come out of it safely, slowly. Now I'm going to switch sides. Left foot goes out. Okay. Same thing. Sticks are angled out. Back foot, dorsiflex that ankle. From here, drive those hips back. Good. Make sure you're breathing, folks. Bring those hips forward. Come out of that stretch a bit. Drive those hips back. Really try to sink those hips in. Good. Come back up. Sink those hips back and in. 3, 2, 1. Gonna place my hands up higher on the sticks. Assist yourself up. Good. Wiggle that foot in. Okay. Excellent. Now we're going to go to the ground. I'm going to move the pad, and I'm going to put down one stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the straddle stretch. We're going to use this to also work on rotation. So I'm going to bring my feet out as wide as I comfortably can. As usual, this is going to depend on your mobility. Okay? So feet out wide, starting to cramp. Feet out wide. I want to place the stick right where the arches of my feet are. Okay? Now from here, what I want to do is I'm going to have my hands roughly right in front of my shoulders. I'm going to pull on the stick and extend my chest out. Okay? Going to ease off. Rotate the stick. Good. Pull back. Good. Now I'm going to ease off again. We're going to go one more time. And we're going to hold this position and work on some rotations. So I'm going to rotate the stick a bit again. Pull back. I'm going to place my left hand in the center of the stick. Let go with the right. Have my right hand out in front. And then I'm going to open up and rotate to my right. I'm going to come back forward. I'm going to go 2 more. Excellent. 1 more. Good. Place my right hand on the stick. Still pulling. Rotate to the left. Good. Back forward. 2 more. Rotate to the left. Back forward. Last one. Rotate to the left. Back forward. Good. We're going to ease off and come out of position. That's it for today. Thank you for joining me for today's class, everybody. Hope you had a good one. Catch you on the next one.